Hello and welcome. I'm Jenna Citrus, and I'm going to give you a little rundown of some of the books I've been reading lately about personal finance and investing. So, hello, welcome to the channel. I created She Finance because I found that finance isn't really taught in the school systems or kind of anywhere, and a lot of my friends and I don't talk about it. So, I've been trying to bring it up to more of my friends, and a lot of the answers I'm getting is just like, I don't know what you're talking about, or I don't know, or like, I don't even know how to start a Roth IRA. So, we're going to dive into a couple different topics, but first, I'm going to talk about some books that I've been reading lately. And I'm currently in the middle of Your Perfect Portfolio: The Ultimate Guide to Using the World's Most Powerful Investing Strategies by Cullen Roche, and I highly recommend it. I might not recommend it as a first book to read if you're just like super, super new and know nothing about finance and investing and all that stuff. Although, interestingly, he doesn't like to use the word investing, but a lot of people do, so I'm just going to keep using it. But kudos to you, Colin. Um, but I really love the way he's talking about all of the different strategies and portfolios. I'm 15 portfolios in, and I think there's either a few more or we're kind of close to the end, but I just love hearing what he has to say. And some of the stuff is a little bit over my head. And he does talk about chasing the shiny object in portfolio 15. And he encourages you to drop him a line. So I'm going to drop him a line and ask him about one of my, I'll call it favorite of the moment, flavor of the month, favorite portfolio things before I talk to you guys about it too much. So let's dive into a couple more books that I've read lately. This one, it was written 15 years ago, so that's where, or 16, I guess now. It's, I wouldn't read this. Okay, I did finish reading it just because I'm like, I want to do it. I'm going to finish it. But the only thing I found super helpful was the chapter on estates and wills. Yes, I got this from the library, so that's probably why. I'm also kind of sad about our library's finance selection. Like, I got some books on porch building, and they had one from 30 years ago, and it all seemed incredibly relevant, but I'd never read about building a porch before, so I don't know if anything's changed in the woodworking industry, but a lot has changed in 15 years because they're just sort of talking about how the internet works. I'm like, oh, there's just this thing called the internet. I'm like, okay, we gotta get a more up-to-date book, but it's yeah, if you are interested in estate planning, although I probably just need to read a whole new book about estate planning. And fun side tangent. All right, we got a little tangent. I did not know this about the state of Florida because I'm new here, but if you don't have a will or beneficiaries or some obvious way to distribute your funds and income and assets to people, and if you do not have any obvious heirs, which I think I probably fall into that because I don't have any brothers or sisters or biological children or like adopted children or anything like that, and I'm not married, so I don't think I have any obvious heirs. So the state would escheat all of your funds and finance and things. So if you open a new investing account, be sure to use that beneficiary tab because otherwise things could get stuck in probate court, which is something I learned about in the Save My 401k book. So not a total waste of time. It's good. And I'm gonna skip white trash because it's not a finance book. I read other things in the world, so here's a look of what I've been reading lately. The 16% Solution: How to Get High Interest Rates in a Low Interest World with Tax Lien Certificates by Joel S. Moskowitz. And you can probably see the progression here. Rich Dad Poor Dad was something I read, and it had this book in there, and I've got another one that I'm getting ready to read through. I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but the first few sentences in have been a little, I don't know, just like rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, but I'm going to keep reading. And again, this is another one that's over 15 years old, so that's one of those things. They've lightly mentioned limited liability partnerships, or not partnerships, LLCs, corporations in there, but I don't know, I feel like that's kind of the new thing. Everyone's like, make an LLC, so. But I also wanted to talk later about, I feel like all my investing and finance advice and everything I get, and my tax advice even, I get it from my friends because we're all just talking about it from time to time, but not always and apparently not often enough. So the tax lien certificate solution, I don't know. I'm investigating. I'm currently looking into. I just don't know if it's going to be worth the hype and the effort because it's something that doesn't fit nicely into my Robinhood portfolio, and I don't know how paper this is, and it could involve foreclosing on properties, so hiring an attorney, and it's a little encumbery. And then the one that makes, and so Florida, good news, bad news, pro con, just really quick rundown. Florida, they offer tax liens at 18% interest, and then you bid down to see what interest rate you're willing to take to receive that and hold that for probably 2 years until you could foreclose on a property, to then put it to a tax lien auction sale where people bid to buy those, versus Kentucky where you just the percentage interest rate is much lower, starting at 12%, but then within a year you can foreclose on a property. But I feel like the ethics in this kind of comes up because, yeah, some people just like forget to pay their property taxes and forget they have a property, and there's like this long laundry list of things. But if I see someone's living there, or I don't know, it just feels like a sticky situation to try to like drag people through court. So I don't know. Kind of. I don't know. All right, Power of Zero. I think I ran into this book in Barnes & Nobles when I had some time I was burning one time, but got it at the library. Fairly new one, thankfully. And, oh, a new chapter on the 2018 tax cuts. Okay, fairly new. Not fairly new, actually. It's crazy how books do that from time to time. They are suddenly new, and then they're, all right, we gotta do the math. 8 years old. So he was talking about all the 2018 numbers, and we've had all sorts of different stuff happen. So I'm getting a little bit more into YouTube listening, watching because of that. And this is one of the people I'm pretty excited, obsessed with a little bit, Permission to Be Wealthy. I started watching her JEPQ investment strategies, but somehow I already had JEPQ. So it's one of those things I wish I could write things in my investment portfolio to see how I came about with them. Exciting things about the Power of Zero. It just reminds me to fund my Roth account, and I think it was where I learned about self-employed 401ks, and I've heard there are Roth ones of those. I need to do more investigating on that, but I don't have a 401k because I've been self-employed since 2018, since you wrote this book. Well, actually before that, but yeah, this is one of those things I wish my friends or other people had talked about or told me about, but that's what's going on in my world. Learning things every day. Skip that one. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I do recommend it. It's a great beginner book, great to start out with. Some things are it's a little outdated, but I mean, it's not the end of the world, so good to read it. And I am going to stop and mention index funds because as we get farther down the list, more and more things mention index funds, but I just wish someone had told me when I was a 20-year-old to put my Roth money in an index fund. I will make another video about how poorly I did investing in individual stocks, and even with my Roth IRA as a 20-year-old, so bad that I just decided not to fund it for several years because I'm like, well, this seems stupid. I've lost a lot of money. And when you're just starting out and it's like really bulky and balanced a certain way because you're investing in bad stocks, that's a whole thing. So index funds for the win. Speaking of great books for beginners, Zen Money. I did not dig in too deep into this one. I've started skipping around, which is not something I usually like to do. And this is another library one, so I don't know if your local library will have it or not. Mine, interestingly, bought it with some grant money, so I'm like, okay. And the Little Book of series, I'm interested in that because I have a lot of like yoga, Reiki, healing books that I've gone through that have always been very interesting to me. I think they're called A Little Bit Of, and that's the Little Book Of, so they've got a bunch of other titles in there I'm interested in doing some deeper dives into. But it's a great one to help you get your mindset right, going from spending everything that comes in to starting to save and just kind of getting you going in the right direction. I did kind of start skipping through after a while. I'm like, okay, I got some of these points good, so I don't know. I feel like the magic of thinking big is like not exactly a finance book, but Theft by Mortgage. It was like a really kind of dull, terrible read, but it was also just a nice reminder to point out, and that yes, this was written in 2006, so I mean that's, it's a whole different world out there. So I have some information from pre-2007 to just sort of sit on and be like, oh, this is how some of that happened. The GFC, as Colin calls it. So I've been listening to him and learning. And the great thing about Colin's book is it was just recently published, like 2025. So that's lovely to just hear and read and listen to someone that's up to date and like kind of in it and just doing all things. So yeah, I did also recently go through real estate school, and I did get all my exams passed. I just didn't decide to register as a legal real estate agent, but just learning about the way different points are on a mortgage, because the way I understood it, it was something totally different. But there's all sorts of things about mortgages, and they're a little bit icky, and you probably end up paying double for your house. But I mean, if you can't afford a house, I don't know. Oh, we haven't even gotten into it yet. You know, it's not on here. I didn't add that to the list. Where is that at? The Art of the Slow Flip. I gotta go find this. Hang tight. Yeah, by Scott Jenkins. Did I give that 5 stars? No. Okay, yes. Anyways, this has been on my recently read list. Speaking of mortgages and predatory things, I love this idea, but the more I read, and because like I'd heard a whole lot about his book, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna pay the $18. I'll buy your whole little, because I wanted an audiobook copy and I don't have Audible, so I'm like, okay, I'll do this. And it was also super helpful to be able to look at the ebook version, which is with this guy. I need to go download the ebook version because the perfect portfolio, I can't hold all the things in my mind, and I've been obsessively texting myself every little ticker symbol he has, and I just need to do a little bit more hands-on research. But back to the Art of the Slow Flip. I again love it if you're on the I have money and can buy $30,000 houses. I mean, you get a loan and use other people's money to buy $30,000 houses and then pay them back aggressively, but you don't allow the people that buy your houses to pay you back aggressively. And that's where, in my opinion, with mortgages, and that's what I did when I had my mortgage, my first house, I aggressively paid it back. I've started like as much as I could every month. I was like, okay, this extra bit goes to principal. And although I know buying a house makes you house poor because you have all this money saved up, you think you have enough for a down payment, you make the down payment, and then all of a sudden there's all these extra expenses. So it's like you need another, oh gosh, I don't even know, like 10 to 20 more thousand depending on what you're getting into, just like as a cushion. Like, don't put all of your life savings into the down payment because you can get yourself into some real trouble, because there are some very serious costs you need to pay for. And of course, the interest is very front loaded. So as soon as you can pay that amount down ahead of your 30-year mortgage rate schedule, the better off you are. And I always get it slightly wrong, but it's bi-weekly or bi-monthly mortgage payments. If you can't just like aggressively be like, oh, hey, I've got an extra $1,000, let me throw that at the principal, or honestly 10, like anything you can do to get that principal down, the best. But you can cut it up by pay periods, so you end up making one extra mortgage payment a year, and that is, I mean, so let's say $500 to $1,000, although those are the kind of houses I look at. But mortgage payment, but it can save you 5 to 7 years on your mortgage. So I'm all about like, yes, if you can get some leverage, it's great to do it, but it's also great to pay it off as soon as you can. So I don't know. That one again feels a little bit predatory because he's giving 11 point something interest rates to people who are renters who couldn't necessarily afford to buy a house a traditional way. So like on one hand, it's slightly philanthropic because you're like, oh, hey, you can't really afford to buy a house, I'll help you, but I'm going to charge you interest rate. And then again, you're paying all this interest rate back to the other person whose money you borrow to do it. So it's like, I'm gonna say the word. No, I'm not gonna do it. No, I'll skip it. Okay, anyways, moving right along. Some things that are not finance. Becoming a real estate agent. Read that right before I went into the real estate thing. And I don't know. It's kind of, it just felt like very quick and not well researched. And I mean, it was a short read, so that was good. The 4-Hour Work Week. Honestly, it just kind of went in one ear and out the other ear. And like, yes, he said some good things and good points. And I'd wanted to read this book for years. And so I'm like glad I got to read it. But I don't know. Been there, read that, moving on. I did read a book about Bitcoin. And the more I read about Bitcoin, the more I was on board with Bitcoin. And in another video, I'll do something about a Bitcoin covered call ETF, which I bought it at the right time. I saw Bitcoin going up and I'm like, oh, I'll buy a little bit of that. So I did make some money, but also I saw how it had done this over the last few years, and Bitcoin's done that too. So you win some, you lose some, and you just don't ever know. I feel like that's the one thing I can come back to and say, you just don't know. Like I keep thinking, so again, back to my college years, 20s, my investing, I was just afraid we were going to have another huge financial crisis because I started investing after 2008, but I had just seen the whole 2008 situation play out. And I was kind of just like, up, waiting for another one of these. And then when I got into being what was it? I think like a sophomore or junior in college, they mentioned that I thought he said 8, and then I've researched again, and I thought it said 20 years we have a recession, or we're due for a recession, or some sort of market correction, or something weird happens. So I've just always been prepared, sitting on the sidelines, being like, well, I don't want to invest money and lose it all. So that's, I don't know. Flip Flops and Fortunes by Brady, Brady, Brady. Good read, really good if it's your first book into real estate. I love his little antidotes, and I do just wish there were more passive income strategies that he listed, but he did cite another blog called The Smart Passive Income. I think that's something like that, and there's kind of more on there, but I just am always sort of trying to find more in different ways, but I don't know. I loved Zillow Talk. Pillow Talk. That's actually where part of the name of Zillow came from. Pillow. I loved that book. I'm just an SLUT for Zillow. So I'm always trying to find more information and learn new things. And it was a great read for me personally, but I'm very interested in real estate, which is why I went to real estate school. But yeah, if you want to buy a house, great book to read. I learned a lot about like renting versus owning in timelines, and I don't know, just overall good. But I do have to give you a disclaimer because this is not finance investing advice, but I guess we're not really talking about that right now in this video. But I'm not a financial advisor. I am a random girl with a Robinhood account, and I want to tell you some of my personal stories and antidotes and what's worked for me and what hasn't. And we're going through some books right now, so there you go. The Automatic Millionaire Homeowner by David Bach. It's another 2006 book, so that's where it's like it's really outdated. Good information, and I do feel like a lot of that, like everything everyone can say about buying a house, there are so many good things to be said about buying a house as long as you're, and this is my advice, not their advice, but try to get it either at as low a price as you can, and or find a way to immediately improve the equity and hang on to it for a few years, and then sell it if the market goes up, and don't sell it if the market goes down, and try not to be so over leveraged on your mortgage that they might call your mortgage in. So but then again, I understand that that's not always easy or practical or feasible, and there have been houses out there that you can't buy because they won't pass 4-point inspections, and you can't get insurance on them. So good news, bad news, but I will say that once we get into this a little bit more, selling my house, the first house that I bought, was how I have money to invest with. So we'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. The book on real estate investing by Brandon Turner. So I just bought a bunch of other books by Brandon Turner. I think that is like the Bible or the number one book if I was going to start anywhere with rentals or real estate. But the thing that scared me off the most about rental properties is after he would do his cash flow analysis, he would end up with between $50 and $200 of income a month off of the rental properties. And yes, and that's short term. Yes, I know. But I just, for me, it wasn't worth it. I was like, why would you do all of this to get $50 to $200 a month and might not even get it because some people don't pay rent and there's just all these little buffers and things that go into account. And it just kind of turned me off, scared me off of the whole rental property investing completely. And then I read the Slow Flip book later, much later, and I'm more on board with doing a slow flip, but I also want to do it my way. I want to offer people the best interest rate that like makes a little bit sense for me to do something that I can help them with, if that's something that I'm going to do. I don't know. It's been, yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is just like so I have not been doing crazy real estate stuff, but let's keep rolling. Rethinking Investing, a very short guide to very long-term investing by Charles D. Ellis. Man, it's been so long since I read that one. It's not really sticking out for me, sorry. The New Tao of Warren Buffett by Mary Buffett. That was a really good read. That's my first introduction to Warren Buffett, so I was glad to see that. Oh, I realized my books are somewhere else. Hang on. Where'd we go? All right, give me just a minute. Well, those are all the books I read in 2026, but I have more investing books that I read. There we go. No, yes, here we go. Oh, The Deep Thoughts was such a funny book. It's like, I know I've got 2 or 3 more little books. Maybe I don't. Oh, Don't Start a Side Hustle. That was a really good, empowering book for me to read to sort of like get my mind in sort of a wealth forward thinking mentality of being like, okay, what can we do that doesn't cause us to lose a whole lot more time, effort, energy, efficiency, and things, and like something that makes something that is truly passive eventually. Because as much as I've been enjoying the content creator lifestyle, there are times where I just want to take a break and just be, and the algorithms don't like that. And thumbs fall, let's be honest. I took a break from Facebook, and there was one month where I made $700 in Facebook, or on Facebook, and like I've been taking some breaks and relaxing a little bit, and their algorithms have switched, but it's down to, I think, like $20 a month, which is not really too much of a passive income stream. Like, yay, $20, but also like gotta do something else. So good way to sort of think about that. And then The Best Investment Advice Ever Received. Yeah, that one's been too long for me. I feel like there were 2 or 3 more I just really wanted to touch on before we went on. Maybe not. I think we've hit all the books. So, okay, that's the end. So, anyways, thanks for hanging out with me, sitting through this, hopefully reading some books that you want to read. Oh, there's just some funny books that I read on there. But anyways, appreciate you hanging out, taking the time to listen to my book reading rambles about investing in finance. So done some book reviews right now, and we'll dive into some more portfolio things in a little bit. But thanks for joining, and I appreciate you. Cheers. Bye-bye. Oh, it didn't stop. Oh, it did stop. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and all of those good things.